Welcome everyone to Innovate You Dialogues. This is our first one in 2026. So the purpose of Innovate You Dialogue is to build an inclusive community of women in STEM leaders and professionals who want to learn, share, and connect. I hope our audience will gain knowledge, new perspectives on the topics, challenge and expand their beliefs. They will also share their wisdom to enrich the community and drive personal and professional growth. To get together with our guest speakers, we will amplify our voices, take bold actions, and create meaningful connections to create more positive impact in the community and beyond. I'm Amy L., founder and executive coach of Innovate You and Fascinate Certified Advisor. So today I'm really excited to have Dianne Clark with me. Dianne Clark is a leading digital and AI transformation consultant with over 25 years of experience helping organizations turn complex change into measurable results. As a founder and CEO of Transpire and Pro Adventures Academy, she has guided public, private, and nonprofit leaders to achieve transformational growth, often exceeding three times through strategic digital adoption and AI driven decision making. Known for her vendor neutral approach and ability to deliver on bold promises, Dianne has led multi-million dollar transformation initiatives and advised government agencies and large social enterprises across Canada. She's also the author of Nonprofit Rescue and Business Rescue, equipping leaders with practical strategies to make digital transformation real and sustainable. Welcome, Dianne. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day to join us. So, for
Thank
our
you.
audience, welcome. And for our audience, if you have any questions, put it in the comment and we'll get back to you at the end of the session or like even beyond. Like we'll go back and answer any of the questions, and Dianne will definitely be doing so as well. So, welcome, Dianne. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Amy. Very pleased to be here.
Excellent. Now, for today, our topic is about from hype to impact, making the AI transformation real. So, for over 2 decades, we've been talking about digital transformation. We'll be moving from paper to systems, from data to integrated platforms, from manual workflows to automation. The promise was always about like gaining efficiencies, better decisions, and stronger customer impact. But somewhere along the line that it became like this synonymous with the technology implementation. And now we are seeing the same pattern repeating with the AI transformation. It is often really treated as something, okay, like it's something really new, like we need to bring it to the table. Now it's, everyone is talking about it. But in reality, it is like an evolution, right? Like it's just the form of digital transformation. The underlying challenge hasn't really changed, right? The real barriers is really not about the tool. So we're going to talk about that. And organizations don't fail because that the tool doesn't work. They struggle because of the unclear strategy, misaligned leadership, or the cultural resistance, right? Lack of the capability building and the change fatigue. So let's cover this today, Dianne. Why AI is not the problem, execution is. What actually makes transformation stick and beyond the pilot phase, right? And how leaders can intentionally start their digital and AI transformation journey with clarity and confidence. Because sustainable transformation is not about the hype, it's about the disciplined leadership. So let's dive into this. So we wanted to talk about what are those success rate? Like why are they so low? So what is that one misconception leaders have about digital and AI transformation, Dianne?
Thank you. Definitely misconceptions out there. And I would say that most often leaders feel that it's something that will fix everything. And that's because that's what the messages say. It'll save time, it'll create quality, more quality, it'll bring in additional income. But besides that, it's something new. But really, we've been applying AI even before We have questions. It's been around a long time, but it's some feel it's something new. It's really not, and that's a misconception. Also, that you need an expert to help integrate it.
Right. Yeah. So it's not something new, and it is like something that you do need an expert to help you to implement, right? Like it's not just like let's just try and like play with it and see how that goes, right? You really need that strategy, right, to implement.
Yeah, I
So,
think an expert's helpful, but I do think we overlook the capacity of staff and internal capacity to be able
mhm.
to do it as well. I think it's a balance that needs to be struck.
Right. Yeah. So like it's not just having someone that really know how to implement, but also to have your team ready, right? To have somebody internal as well to help the team move the change, right? As we often see,
Yes.
this is a change. It's not just a technology, like just to plug in, but also a change for the culture, change for the teams, how they work, right? And so it's important to have that internal support. That's a really good point. Now, how about where you see that the biggest gap between the theory of implementing something new or like that adjustment to their system and the reality?
Yeah, no, I think we're right in the gap. We live in the gap because we're constantly presented with, on one side, reality, and on the other side, fake opportunities, things that appear real but really aren't. So we're in between and trying to always determine which side to be on or which side we should be on. So right now, we're really not able to determine that. So we are right in the middle there all the time, every day when we make decisions. I think the true casualty of being in that gap is human relationships. And on the real side of the gap, relationships are complicated, and that's a true reality, and people are fearful
Mm,
of getting hurt, which has always been always been the truth, and hurting others by mistake is the possibility on
mm,
reality side. On the
mm,
other side, we no longer know what's real, so we select virtual environments that appear safe but are really less safe. So we need to be intentional
mm,
in creating and maintaining real relationships with people these days while we're in this gap, and do value the face to face and the kindness and truthfulness and being transparent. I think those are things that get lost in the gap, and
mhm,
I think
mm,
as I say, the casualty, we need to pay attention more to human
mhm.
relationships. Yeah.
Right. That's so true. Like it's the human part, right, that is being in that gap, like from the theory to the reality, to understand that you don't want to implement something that ultimately could hurt the relationships, like human relationships that it needs to preserve, right? And how do we do that is really utmost important. Like as you said, like it's not about everything pushing into the system, the virtual system that would solve all the problems. It's still the human elements that we need to pay attention to, right? So, understanding there is that gap, right? And in your experience, what's the most common, like the so-called the pilot trap that you have seen, and how do we avoid that?
It's hard to say there's one single most common pilot trap. It's usually a combination because of our complex
Mm-hmm.
environment these days. I would say there are three, and they're all
Mm-hmm.
probably equal. Not obtaining the first one, perhaps the first one a little more, is not getting the buy-in from the stakeholders first, and to include your employees and your customers in getting that buy-in, because your stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
really include your customers as well as your staff. They're all in it to win business for you.
Right.
The second
Mm-hmm.
would be not simplifying processes before pulling in new technology. If you're laying new technology on in a pilot, then you're not making way for it. So that means that it's making it more complex. You want it less. So simplifying things first is a common trap that people to layer on new things. They think it'll give them extra capacity. The third is getting excited about the features of maybe a new digital product over the resulting benefits. Looking at what a product can do over what it must do for you as an organization.
Mhm. Wow, that's really powerful. Like, I'm thinking of those three things that combined could be your trap, right? One, as you said, like the stakeholders is not just about your customers; it's also about your employees. You need to have them have the buy-in because they are the ones to help implement, to change, to make things real, right? So not to forget about that. They need to have that buy-in early, right? And the second is about that simplify the process first. Like if you just pile on top of technology on a process that it doesn't make sense or it no longer needs to be there. And often we have seen that like people are trying to over engineer and put just technology to add on the complexity. And at the end of the day, they're not gaining that efficiency because the process itself doesn't make any more sense, right? And without cleaning that first, it's really jeopardize the results on what the outcome that they might want it to have with their digital transformation. And the third one is about like, yeah, the product promises a lot, right? Like a lot of these tools out there that they think they can do many different things. But what is really most important for the company? What is that the must have to gain those first before you go in and to look at all the shiny pieces that you want to add on, right? That's so well said. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Now, Diana, let's talk a little bit more about some of the experience when you lead the organizations through those transformation. Um, when you first walk into an organization, what do you look for? How do you diagnose that, what they need?
Thank you. Some are by observation, some are by interviewing stakeholders. So I would say I look for these three things. One, probably the most important thing is the support for collaboration within the organization. What tools do they provide for collaboration among staff? What spaces are there, physical spaces and virtual spaces? And what policies are in place to make sure that there's an equal a working agreement among everyone to so that everyone knows the kind of the collaboration rules. So that's the first thing that's I find is what I want to see is what is in place for that. The second is pretty clear: a budget. What is their budget for technology? I my benchmark is about 5% of total income for spending on technology. If it's less, that's a red flag to me that it will likely stifle employee productivity because just too many free tools, too many non-integrated tools. I don't think any organization needs to spend more than 5% on licensing and anything that goes towards technology, but at least 5%. And I do find most organizations are under this, and that's why we need to look at transformation and look at budgeting. So a clear budget is a helpful way to diagnose. And thirdly, I have what I call the 3 E's. So I look for the priority of which 3E is the priority. Sometimes I can observe it, sometimes I ask. But E for excellence, which is quality. Is there a priority on quality products and services? There really is no way to set all three of these as priority. That's why it's a bit of a challenge to fill all three as priorities. So that's why it's a good test. So excellence. Is quality most important? Is efficiency another E, which is speed? Do they want to work with clients fast? Do they want to make things more efficient? So and the last, so quality is a frictionless process. Speed is a fast process. And money, is there a priority on making money or saving? Usually one or two of these is the top. So that I like to know which priority in order to make sure that we're applying knowledge and technology in the right. You know,
Uh-huh.
leadership.
Uh-huh. Right, right. Absolutely. And those, yeah, those three things, right? Like that is the key that you look for, like as any red flag that might be before you even start talking about if this project is needs to go ahead, right? Like, and because without those basic elements, like if you see those red flags, what's the point on spending the money and time and effort to do so, right? That is so true. Now, and what then once you recognize, okay, there's those elements that you look for is there that they are positioning themselves that they can go through this transformation. What are the method that you would help the organization to move from whatever the vision they have into that real adoption?
Definitely. I think this is the root of good transformation. And as I alluded to before, it's really important to get the buy-in and the involvement from employees, and also these days when it's so hard to hang on to employees, to make sure we train them with transformation skills. And that really means how can employees contribute to the ongoing improvement of the organization, and they should want to, and they would be happy to get training and how to do that. Transformation is not incremental; it's ongoing. We think it's incremental, where we do a project, we get transformation, and then we can walk away and get all the benefits of it. But really, we should be inspiring a culture of intrapreneurship. It's a new word for some.
Mhm.
Intrapreneurship means being an entrepreneur within an organization. That's the simplest way to explain it. But intrapreneurship really is defined by making sure that employees have a safe environment for experimentation, that they're not going to be punished for new ideas or experimentation, that we really support employees' new ideas with time and a budget sometimes, if those have potential, if those ideas have potential. And so that's part of the transformation skill set that would be kind of instilling in employees in order to really make sure that the vision can go to true adoption, because you'll get that if you have employees who are part of the solution.
Yeah, I love that. And as you highlighted, that transformation is not just it's not incremental. Like it's really have to be seen as ongoing. It doesn't really stop. Like there's not like a project that should be, there is a beginning in it. And even though we treat it as a project, but then it really is continuous, right? Because once you can get to a certain stage of adoption, the culture of the behavior of the people in the organization will continue to shift, right? And then they will really get the benefit of that transformation. And as you highlighted also, that the skill set is about having the entrepreneurship in within the company, creating that safe environment for them to bring those ideas out, like as they would be feeling safe that they can share anything with the team to as they learn along the way, like as they transform. And without that setup, without the people that are feeling safe to bring those ideas out, you really can make or break that transformation. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Now, for the leaders who are listening to this, like whether they're joining live now or like listening later, is there something that they should stop doing immediately that creates that transformation drag? Like it's really could stifle that transformation.
As I've alluded to, probably on my values, is really
Mm.
that there is pressure and hype and trends about transformation in AI, but the source of solutions is not always outside the organization. As I've alluded to, there's plenty of solution inside. So stop looking for solutions just outside the organization. Employees are the best source, and they may leave the organization if they're not empowered to be part of the solution. So it can create transformation drag if they're not involved, but also if they are not consulted for their ideas and solution about what they see as important as part of the process
Mhm.
of transformation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They're like it's so rich of like what they already have internally, right? They have those experience, they have the knowledge, and they have the insights. So it's a matter of just like having the employee to reach out to their employees to kind of allow them to express what they see would be beneficial,
Yeah,
right?
I will add to that data
Mm-hmm.
overlooking the value and bringing data kind of under one umbrella, or at least for a short time to look at to evaluate the data that exists within the organization, and bring because all or employees tend to they are all dealing with data in one way or another. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
examined in one area rather than in many areas, you tend to get a better idea of what data rises to the top, what can be used for decision making.
Absolutely. Like data is really the foundation of all the different AI and tools that now enables for decision making, right? So having them, putting them together and look at it together instead of like just, spreading out on and different areas, it really could help the organization to make the sound decision as they go through the transformation. Yeah, thanks for that. Now, Diana, I really wanted to now go into the meat of this, like of like how, of all of your experience that you had with the organizations. I wanted to understand and learn more about your vision behind the Pro Adventures Academy. And it sounds like such a great initiative there. So I'd love to hear from your words and what that is. What sparked that idea for you that to create this academy?
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'll start with the many years I've had of helping organizations and the gap that exists between handing off a digital plan and implementation. It's it's difficult to it's difficult for everyone. It's difficult to go in and to create a digital plan, get everyone excited about it, and then there's the handoff, and it's very difficult to keep that momentum going. So I really felt that there was a gap that was needed to provide skills of transformation to employees in all organizations. There is capacity now. We've come a long way, and I've been 25 years in tech, all the way from programming and yeah, it's coding, and I've been through all of that, and I just find with the with AI being prevalent, there's never been a better time for building capacity inside of organizations for transformation, just providing the tools. So with that resiliency, that's why I had the idea to create it. I wrote a couple of books,
Mhm.
and I felt to leverage the books effectively, then perhaps a course that would
Mm.
not be an exam at the end, but more of a practical application of a process, an improved process would be helpful.
I love that. Like bringing all the rich experience you had working with organizations, and from the book that you can bring that to life and having the practical way for people to learn that skills and be able to apply it to their organizations and seeing the benefit from that, right? So to that, and what is the ROI that organization can benefit from, like if they go through this program?
It's pretty significant. Um, when I did the numbers based on
Yeah.
current standards, I mean, there's so much that you can reap the benefits of and
Mhm.
valuing them. Um, from my research over a couple of years now, so I've had a chance to look at this seriously. It's about $8 for every
Mm-hmm.
$1 invested in transformation training, and
Wow.
specifically that comes down to cost reductions on technology, time savings, better effectiveness of the organization, and actually reduced staff turnover. Those are the financial
Mm-hmm.
benefits. And there's also on the other
Right.
side the revenue growth, which is improved
Mm-hmm.
customer and donor relationships for nonprofits,
Right.
making
Right.
it frictionless for payment, better service delivery, and confidence. Your funders and your investors are going to be more confident if you have higher
Mm-hmm.
digital capacity. So that
Right.
really does result in a 1 to 8 ratio for ROI.
Wow, that's amazing. Like just hearing that the number as like based on all the research you have there, right? And it's real. Like and it's so much that is also really important for the nonprofit organizations as they have very limited resources, right? And so how do they, expand that the limited resources they have? Like, and this is one of the ways, right, to digitize some of the processes and bringing in the technology that is necessary, as you pointed out, not to bring in all the shiny objects, but the most important pieces. So through this program, they will learn how to apply that, how to identify what is needed most for the organization, prioritize them, and implementing it with the right approach so then they can benefit. They will then see that 1 to 8 return, right? And that's amazing. So, what the best way for our audience to connect with you, Diane? I know that since we already go beyond that 25 minutes, like the time just flew by, but we have so much to talk about. We probably need to have another session with you. They're so rich of what you have experienced with transformation that we need to dig in more. But for now, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, no, certainly. Actually, my LinkedIn profile, I
Okay,
respond. Uh, I respond quickly to
excellent.
messaging through that or connections. I'm happy to take new
Mhm.
connections, especially down this road of transformation interest. So you can message me there, or you can email me at
Oh,
dclark, DCLARK, at proadventures, PROEDVENTURES.com.
I love that. Yeah, so maybe also we can put that in back in the comments for this event after as well. And I want to show the audience on this as well the link to the website for the Pro Adventures. So you will see that certification program there. So if any question, don't hesitate to reach out to Diane for more information as well. All right.
Thank
So
you.
excellent. So thank you so much, Diane, for your time. And so let me just quickly go and check. I think there is a question. There's a comment that is always a human part and relationship for sure with or without AI. Yes, very well said. Thank you so much for commenting on this. Now, if there's no other questions, then we're going to wrap this and let's look at what else. If there is any question for Diane for now, if not, it's okay. If you think of a question later on, you're certainly welcome to reach out to Diane, but also to put it on the comments. Like if you're looking at this, watching this video afterwards, and you have any questions and comments, that feel free to put it on as well. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, Diane, for sharing your wisdom. So for our audience, so what is that one key takeaway for you after listening to Diane's advice on like how do you approach on digital and AI transformation? Leave a comments to this event and share your thoughts to this community. You might spark some new ideas for each other as well. So don't forget to follow Dianne on LinkedIn. And if you're ready to amplify your impact, schedule time with me and explore our partnership to help you overcome any barriers and unlock your potential and amplify your leadership voice. So stay tuned for our next Innovate You Dialogues in March. Bye for now.
Bye.